And this is a cadre of faculty who are going to be working together and who already are working together to really try and make a difference for our freshmen. How many of you are involved in that initiative already? A couple. Okay, great. And your programs are a little different in that sometimes, you have to be a second semester sophomore or whatever, to get into nursing or whatever. The real advantage of this is that these students will become, in a sense, a cohort. They will have classes in which they are co-enrolled. They will have the same number of instructors, the same individuals with whom they form relationships, and that they have continuity in those. This will be the home for all of the Phyli initiatives and the first year experience, the first year seminar, and also all the pieces that we're doing that are above and beyond that, such as having extra coaching that's offered to students, having extra supplemental instruction sections. So this is kind of a packaging of these intense initiatives. And why are we doing this? We're doing it because we have a retention rate of around 72%. Now that's better than it was a couple years ago. It was 69. Now it's 72.5. We actually did some experiments this year and piloted measuring the retention rates of students who had received warnings in the GPS program that they were not on track and not doing well. How many have used the GPS program to warn your students? Okay. Those students whom you have reached out to and said, get on board, there's something wrong here, the retention rate among those students with that intervention is 2 percentage points higher, 74.5% in each of the 2 semesters in which it was measured. So that's a good sign of things that we can do, and the president has a goal of bringing retention up to 85%. Now I'm sweating bullets about that because that, that is not an easy thing for us to do, but I believe that by having this university college, we will be able to do a little bit better by having all the sections for all these freshman courses, taught in the same way. Now, we do have some real challenges. We know that our students have difficulty with math, and that's one of the areas in which they really bomb out early on. And so we're looking with the math faculty to create a kind of math emporium, a model where students have far more hands-on tutorials, where instead of having classes in a lecture format, the students are working with their professor at their side to try and help them to interact with software that really helps students to master the content. And then when they master it, then they can move on to the next step. And if they don't, and they move at a slightly slower pace, that's fine, but it doesn't inhibit the others moving forward at a more rapid pace. In terms of faculty, we're thinking that those faculty who want to become a part of the university college, which we think will be largely non-tenure track faculty who are teaching generally 4-4, could become the faculty of the university college, and that they would have these special kinds of support, lots of communication as a group, a lot of faculty development, and that they would have shared syllabi that they develop together, that they would have required attendance, which actually all the courses in the Phyli that would be included in this new university college, they already have required attendance, so it's not something that we're now already doing. And the president is going to offer an additional stipend for those faculty who are going to come into this university college. Now we think it'll be largely non-tenure track because it's more difficult to do this with tenure track, but it is certainly possible. And so those of you who might be interested in becoming a part of university college, what you would do is express your interest, and Karen Pugliese and I will be sending out invitations to join the university college. It will not be something that you just say you want to do, because you might be the best teacher since sliced bread, but you also might not. And so we really need to be careful about that. I won't say more about that.
There's a question.
Okay.
So you're borrowing lines then for this? You're borrowing
No,
effort, or are you making new lines?
okay, so let's say you
The
want to
question,
teach.
I've got to repeat the question for those on
Okay.
campus. Are we borrowing lines or are we creating new lines for the university college? And the answer to that question is a little of both, especially with the Math Emporium, because we need to bring people in, and particularly in math education, and we're going to put some lines there. But in a sense, what we're doing is, and this will be the next topic, is we're going to have to what I call rationalizing faculty loads. We've actually done a study, and I'll show you a little bit of the results of that study.
Do you have to?
All right. In a sense, well, I'll do it now. One of the bargains we made, and I did this, I was a chair and a dean and did lots of the administrative pieces.
It's on you. Then I can get rid of it.
The way we had operated the university for decades, and a lot of what we're talking about is real culture change, is so I go to a faculty member and say, I really want you to do more research. And the faculty member bargain back is, okay, I'll do that, but I need a release from a course. And I want you to do committee service. Well, I need a release from a course. So when we looked at the data, about 60% or thereabouts of faculty time, or no, I take it back, 40% of faculty time is not in the classroom.
Actually, it's 50.
It's 50.
For all the colleges except Stephens. Okay, so,
Actually, it picks up your voice.
okay, so on average, for last year, the average amount of time that was spent in teaching activities for all faculty except Stephens was 50% for tenure track and 75% for non-tenure track. Now the difference is, the exception is Stephens, because Stephens has the lion's share of externally funded research, and so their teaching time in the classroom is 35%. Now, I have to say that that does not include the supervision of all the undergraduate research, the supervision of master's theses, and of dissertations, and of all the individual work that's done with mentoring science students, which is very, intense and requires more time. And so now we're looking at the same data for this coming year and looking at where are the colleges where there is a huge amount of release time. And it's not in your college.
Yes.
You are the really good doobies, and many of you teach
Why we came here first.
more than 3. But we can't say the same for everybody else. And so,
I'll just hold it.
Okay.
Go back and forth. Actually, it is not that anybody along the way, faculty are involved in very important activities. The question that will have to be asked in the future is this activity over here more important than having that person in the classroom? And in some cases, the answer will be no. We should use our capacity in the classroom, which then allows us to teach more students with the same number or small increases in the number of faculty. In one way, when I started looking at the data, I actually said, that's the way out. Because we have enormous capacity that we can redirect. And it'll be up to deans and chairs to take a close look at the data that has been put out there and to see if there's ways within colleges and departments to redirect the use of faculty time. That's the one enormous capacity we have. Yes?
I'm just wondering how you're saying that this university college is something of great potential value to the university, and yet you're saying that you imagine there will be non-tenure track faculty who will get involved. I'm wondering how we can make it more attractive and valuable to tenure track faculty, if it indeed is that valuable to the university.
I have no problem with bringing tenure track faculty into the university college. In fact, I would like to do that, especially because we have some real stars, who are great, great teachers of freshmen. And so what I would say is that you would come into the university college and you would say, okay, I teach 2 courses in fundamentals of nursing or something else that are really great for our freshmen, and I want to be part of this spotlight. And so you would say that half of your FTE would be in University College and half would be in the School of Nursing, let's say. And that would mean that you are part of this for those 2 courses that are oriented toward freshmen, and you get the resources associated with helping freshmen to be more successful. But your tenure home doesn't change. You're still in your same school or department, and you don't really we're not really thinking about it as a joint appointment. We're thinking about it as a joint assignment. So then part of your work is in one unit and part of your work is in another. Dennis?
Are online courses involved in this?
Not initially for the Phi-Line. We're starting small. We're starting with a small group of classes, and so I think ultimately it would certainly be extended to distance, but right now we're just starting with a few classes, like 10 or 12, and they'll be on campus for the first year, for the pilot.
Actually, let me go back. As part of the reasoning for this is, first, what we're trying to do is everything is about student success. And that's the drive, because, and it's the right thing to do, but it also, we will be funded in the future on performance. I don't know how many of you have experience with K through 12. K through 12, in terms of how the students perform on various exams along the way, impacts directly the teachers of those students in the classroom. And so this notion of suddenly universities are going to be held to the kind of standards that K through 12 is, in the sense of, you can't tell us that a 40% failure rate is acceptable. You can't tell us that students can't learn math. We know they can't. It's just how you actually approach it. That's why the Math Emporium is such a big part of this. So it's a changed world.
I have a question from Laura Blank in Lake Havasu. She says, within nursing, we need to coordinate different clinical sites and programs. Who will do that if everyone is teaching a full load?
The question being asked is, off campus, is somebody coordinating clinical placements? And obviously those functions will remain important and will have to be done as part of an individual's load.
And there is also, all the Phi-Li courses that are coordinated, the person who's the coordinator does have a release to do that. We're not going to be able to take those things away, and we don't want to. And so our goal would be to say to the deans, find the areas where you can increase productivity. For example, if there's a senior faculty tenured person who has not been active in research in 5 years, has not published in 5 years, and is no longer doing what they originally got that offload to do, that is, low-hanging fruit. I mean, that's something that we can recapture. And the only reason that I would be able to, that I need to recapture that is that, we've lost 90 lines in the last couple of years with the VISRIP, and I'm not going to get money in the future to get more. And the only way that I'm going to be able to have new lines is by taking pieces of that FTE that we can come up with and use those for new faculty positions, so we're going to have to find a way to grow on our own. And so the deans would work with their chairs to say, where do we have opportunities and where can we capture release time, but we're not going to take it from, if the dean says, no, we really need this clinical coordinator for nursing sites, then that's an important function, and we want that service to continue to be done.